Welcome back to the 30 Days of Wise Ideas series. Today is day 17, January 17, 2026. Today's concept, once again, is taken from the book of Proverbs. The wise idea for today is to guard your honor from the adulteress. For the lips of an adulteress drip honey. Her mouth is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is as bitter as wormwood and as sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to Sheol. She gives no thought to the way of life. Her ways are crooked and she does not know it. Now let's break down this wise idea. It's talking about a woman, an adulteress, who is a danger to a man. We'll call this man a simple man, a man that does not understand the danger before him, or that didn't pay attention to the warnings in front of him. And to demonstrate this, I have a story, a YouTube video that I saw that's meant to be a skit, a cartoon skit. The husband is playing video games on the couch and the wife gets up to go to the washroom and she leaves her phone on the couch. So as she's in the washroom, the phone rings. So he looks at the phone and he sees a guy. Let's call the guy Joe. He sees Joe on the phone. So he answers it. Hello, who's this? The guy says, this is Joe. Let me talk to the wife. Her name, whatever her name is. The guy says, talk to her. Well, who are you? Why do you want to talk to her? So the guy says, I'm her boyfriend for over a year now. So the husband speaks up and he says, what? I'm her husband for over 5 years now. So then the guy, Joe, says on the phone to the husband, what? She's married? Well, you can let her know that I'm not paying half the rent anymore. And you can let her know that I'm not paying the Netflix bill anymore. You can let her know I'm not paying for half the groceries anymore. And you can let her know I'm not paying half the car note anymore. So the husband, sitting on the couch, thinks for a second and then he says, oh man, I was just playing. I'm her brother. She's busy in the washroom or something. I'll have her call you back later when she gets in. Or she's busy right now. I'll have her call you back. And then he hangs up the phone. And he says, man, he's paying all these bills. I almost messed up there. That's what he says. So she comes back into the room and he tells his wife, Joe called for you. You better call him back ASAP. I still have to laugh at it. Now, that's a story, a cartoon, a skit on a video on YouTube that's meant to be funny. But it illustrates a point that scripture is teaching us here. Because it warns the young man to stay away from the adulteress. But here's why. Here's the danger. Remove your way far from her. Don't come near the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others and your years to the cruel one, lest strangers feast on your wealth and your labors enrich another man's house. And that's what we're seeing with that Netflix story skit on YouTube, right? Joe was paying all these bills that was supporting the husband. So he pretended that he was the brother when he realized there's a lot of money behind this man. You see, but that was wrong. This guy Joe then has endangered not just his physical life, right? He gave his honor to others, his years to the cruel one. Who's the cruel one? The devil. He gave his years to the cruel one. Strangers feasted on his wealth and his labors built up another man's house. That's one example. That happens. How does that relate to real life? Well, that can happen when overseas. When foreign men go to a third world country, they may meet a woman in a bar and decide to engage in an intimate relationship with this woman. This woman might be married, have a husband and child at home, and not say anything to the foreign man. The foreign man will be spending his money on this woman, and all of that money that he's spending goes back to her children and husband at home. That's a real life situation that can happen especially to foreign men who travel to other countries looking for relationships. That's a danger and a possibility that can happen. There's one other story I can mention about this. I think it was on Reddit, a gentleman married a woman who was divorced from her husband, and she had two daughters. They were married for 20 years, so he spent all of his time, energy, resources raising these children because the father was an absentee father. He married another woman. After he left his first woman, he married a second woman, and he had nothing more to do with the first family because he was spending all his effort and energy on the second family. So this man who married into the first family, who became the stepdad to those two children, those two women, those two girls and her husband to that mother, spent the next 20 years raising them, playing catch with them, paying for all their expenses, teaching them how to ride a bike, doing all the things that a father does. Then one day, one of the daughters was going to get married, and this father the stepfather was also paying for the wedding. That daughter turned around and she said she didn't want her stepfather to walk her down the aisle. She wanted her original father, because 1 year, I guess, before her marriage, he had broken up with his second family, and now being alone, he tried to re-engage a relationship with his ex-wife and his two abandoned daughters. So the daughter wanted him to walk her down the aisle. Now the stepdad was hurt deeply. He had suggested, well, maybe both of them can walk her down the aisle. And the mother said no, she would not have that. The mother of the daughter, his wife, said no, let the father walk her down the aisle. And so he was upset by that, and he said he would not pay for the wedding in that instance. And she told him he was being petty, and that if he didn't pay for the wedding, she would divorce him. Look at that. That man invested his time, energy, wealth, life energy into raising two children who did not see him as a father or even respect him as a stepfather. All his efforts were for naught, and it took him 20 years to find out that. When a man finds a single mother whose husband is still alive, or ex-husband still alive, that man is risking his vitality, his wealth, his resources, and wisdom wants a man like that. Don't give your honor to others, your years to the cruel one. Let strangers feast on your wealth. Your labors enrich another man's house. That happened in that scenario. And there's other things like that go on in life. So wisdom tells us, guard your honor from the adulteress, so that you might walk in the good part of life.